This is TV Podcast Industries, and you're listening to the Invincible podcast. We're talking about Invincible Season 4, Episode 5. Give us a moment.
Wait, Art. I'm sorry about everything. For what it's worth, I've changed. And I'm trying to make up for everything I did.
Good.
And hey, if I survive the next few months, I'll let you fix this thing any way you like.
Sorry, Nolan, but I've closed your account.
What, did I leave without paying my tab?
No, nothing like that.
So what then?
I dress heroes, Nolan.
Oh. Okay. Well, it was good to see you.
Yeah.
Welcome back, fellow Guardians, to the Invincible podcast on TV Podcast Industries. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and we're talking about Invincible Season 4, Episode 5. Give us a moment. I am joined by an illustrious co-host, because we have a lot to talk about. It is an action-packed, beautiful, rip-roaring, emotional, while also wholeheartedly disgusting episode.
Absolutely. Oh, what an episode. Oh, we were saying last episode that it wasn't the greatest episode of the season so far, and then to be followed up with this one. Hey, you can't have all killer, right? You have to have a little bit of filler sometimes, despite what some rock bands might tell you. This one ain't no filler at all in here. I am one of your hosts, Derek. Yes, welcome back, everybody.
Yes, and when we're talking about filler, we are literally talking about Mark's insides as they spill and are pulled and tweaked out by Conquest.
What a moment.
But we will get into that. Oh, yes, in all its glory.
All its gory, Chris, yes.
Glory. But I want to jump in and just very quickly kind of go through the usual rick and roll. So, Derek, do you want to tell us who gave us what, where, when, and how with all the episode details? Because some people deserve a round of applause.
Absolutely. Many, many people do, of course. The show is based on the comic series written by Robert Kirkman and illustrated by Cory Walker and Ryan Ottley. The show developed by Robert Kirkman and produced by Robert Kirkman, David Alpert, Catherine Winder, Simon Riccioppa, Margaret M. Dean, Seth Rogen, and Evan Goldberg. This episode was directed by Choi, who's directed many episodes of Invincible, and the episode was written by Adria Lang. This is the second episode of Invincible that she's written after season 2, episode 3, This Missive, This Machination, which told how Alan's planet was attacked and had Mark go to Thraxia. So, a massive episode that she wrote in the past, and another massive one here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris, do you want to tell us what they gave us with the synopsis for Invincible Season 4, Episode 5? Give us a moment.
Sure. Alan and Nolan discuss the situation with Mark, and he reluctantly agrees to join the Coalition's war against the Viltrumites. A remorseful Nolan also apologizes to Debbie, who angrily rejects him, frustrated that he doesn't really understand what he's done. On a lead from the Geldarian army, Alan tracks down Zoe Thompson, aka Tech Jacket, who quickly agrees to join their cause. When Oliver learns of the plan, he insists on going into space as well. After saying goodbye to Eve, Debbie and Paul, Mark and Oliver join Nolan, Alan and Zoe aboard the ship, and the team departs for Talescria. On their way there, however, the vessel is ambushed by a Viltrumite cruiser commanded by Conquest and 2 other Viltrumites, Lucan and Crad. A chaotic battle ensues, culminating in a one-on-one fight between Mark and Conquest. Mark is disemboweled by Conquest, but finally manages to kill him by strangling him to death. Nolan and Oliver find Conquest and Mark's broken bodies, while Zoe and Alan hide on the exterior of the Viltrumite ship as Lucan and Crad continue their search for them.
Oh, yes. Broken bodies galore
Yeah.
in this episode.
So let's go straight in to our points, because this episode, I'm going to jump into one part of it, and our point is Nolan's apology tour. And while there are some other bits about that we can get into about the Mark and Oliver and etc. and all that, I really want to focus in on Nolan's discussion and his dialogue with Debbie.
Absolutely.
Or his monologue at first. Then it becomes a dialogue.
Yeah. Because
this is some of the best writing I've seen in any show. We've talked a lot over our 10 plus years of podcasting.
Yes.
And this for me was a beautifully written dialogue about a villain almost trying to apologize and trying to get across his remorse for what he did. And then having the victim fully dismiss and kind of try and remind that person that, like, they don't accept the apology, that they have no right. It's so raw. Absolutely. So from one aspect, you have a very raw, emotional, vulnerable Nolan, but then you have this angry, emotional Debbie who breaks her wrist. Smashing it against Nolan, who she knows, like, that was just pure emotion. But my God, just such a scene, like, so beautiful. And again, beautiful in this, the delivery and the emotion that it's in a animated show. I just think Sandra Oh just does an absolutely brilliant job here, and J.K. Simmons once again always brings it to his role as Omni-Man. But what I love about it is kind of the unsaid pieces. He's saying every single word. He's delivering them with emotion. You know, he already had his apology to Mark outside, and all he really had to say to Mark was, well, at least something good came out of it, when he's explaining to him about the fact that they actually just went around the universe impregnating different women on different planets, and then was going to allow Earth to be taken over by the Viltrumites. He just says at least something good came out of it. Mark is kind of balanced again, right? Because he thought Nolan was dead. Whereas with Debbie, she can feel he's just saying words. The fact that Nolan says, I know there are no words that could possibly convey my true feeling to you, but I just want to say I'm sorry. And Debbie's like, what? Well, you've said it now. What is it that you want here? Well, I just want to say I'm sorry. You've said it. Why are you still here? What do you expect? You know, she is never going to say that's okay. He's killed people. He's left her behind. He's treated her children awfully. It felt like a great retort to those cheating men who come back to their wives after cheating and go, well, I'm sorry, baby, but I love you. You know, when Debbie goes, you left me, you say you love me, and 2 weeks later you're having a child with somebody else. Oh, well, I didn't really love her. Oh, is that supposed to make me feel better about it? That makes me hate you even more, that you would leave the planet, go off with somebody else, have a child with them, and now I'm taking care of Oliver and have been this wonderful child, and you're telling me that you didn't even love his mother, you know? Absolutely perfectly played by Sandra Oh. It's not just anger, it's that feeling of knowledge in what she's saying and pure hatred of this man that thinks he's able to get away with anything because he's 2,000 years old and superpowered. The delivery of the line, am I still your pet?
Oh, so brilliant.
Just, like, Sandra Oh, it was one of those, I could picture her as she said that. And I liked her in Killing Eve. I loved her in Killing Eve. She was fine for me in Grey's Anatomy. I never watched much of it.
Right.
I watched the first season or something. So great then. Perfect in Killing Eve. But you can see it. But I could see her embody this. And I could see her in the voice booth delivering this. And you're right. It is a anthem, if you will, to women who have been cheated on by men, and men who think they can come back, and sometimes their superpower is money or stability, family, kids. Like, it is that.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
No, that's not how
This
this
is
works.
not.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we know it works because when Nolan goes, he doesn't walk out.
Mm-hmm.
He rockets. He does the...
Yeah.
And it's because you can see that even he is I wouldn't say disgusted by himself. Like, he thought it was going to go a different way.
Absolutely. Yes. I think that's the thing. And you hear that later on with Alan, when Nolan's standing on the ship waiting for the arrival of Mark. And he's like, oh, why is it taking so long? And Alan goes, oh, I know this went differently than the way you thought it was going to, but you gave Mark the time. You need to leave him to do it. And that's all it seems to be for Nolan. He thinks, if I say all these words, I'll be forgiven and then I can continue about what I did before, you know? He isn't human, obviously. He is Viltrumite. They believe they get what's given to them and they take what isn't given to them. And he seems to think the only thing he's learned about being human is if he says the right words, he'll also get what he wants and what he thinks he deserves. And Debbie's there to tell him, no, that's not how this works. You are a poor imitation of human, maybe a poor painting of what you think a human is, but you're not human. Love it. Absolutely love it.
And then
brilliant.
We opened our episode with it, the discussion with Art, the ending with Art, because you see two aspects of it. You see them share a beer.
Yeah.
And reminisce and talk about things. And it is what we saw prior, at the very first couple of episodes of season 1, where it is that banter between two friends. And then
very specifically, what I love about the dialogue that's written for Mark Hamill for Art in this scene is he reacts to what Nolan's saying, but does not respond to Nolan in any way. So Nolan says, I've changed. And Art says, good. Not, I've noticed, or that's great, or anything like that. He's telling him it's good that Nolan's changed, but he's not willing to accept him as a friend again. This is not a friendship. This is, Nolan told me I have to be on the roof to have a beer with him like the old days, so I will pretend that that's what I'm here to do. But he quickly gets rid of him, quickly tells him he's shut down his account, which means he's no longer going to make superhero suits because this guy's no longer a hero. Absolutely love it. And then when Nolan, again dejected, flies away, just seeing Art drop, that moment of as if he was just terrified the whole time because he was being forced to listen to what Nolan wanted him to listen to, this fake apology, or this maybe fake apology. Even if it's not fake, it will sound fake after what he's done to this planet, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the it's not until I did not really cop that until, well, first I saw what I thought was just dejection in that Art going, I only make costumes for heroes. Yeah. I was like, that tracks, makes sense. It's only when Nolan goes and you see Art collapsing on himself, like panting, because it is pure adrenaline and fear. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is cool.
Because he doesn't know what Nolan's going to do. Like Nolan, it's just as possible he will punch through Art's head for saying the wrong thing to him. You know, that's how Art feels. You know, remember, he is the person that gave all the costumes to the Guardians of the Globe. He worked with that team, and Nolan destroyed them all in one day. Art thinking that these were his friends. This was his team back then, back in season 1. So yeah, Art doesn't know how to deal with this. And yeah, it's again, another really brilliantly played scene. Fantastic. One of the ones on Nolan's apologies that he didn't do is he didn't even speak to Oliver. He's going to fight the Viltrumite War. Oliver has been left on the planet after his mom died and after, they thought Nolan was dead. And he comes back, speaks to Mark, speaks to Debbie, speaks to his old friend Art, and doesn't even go and talk to Oliver. So Oliver is absolutely livid at this, but says he's going to fight in the Viltrumite War alongside Mark, and not one person is going to be able to stop him. He doesn't care if Nolan came down and talked to him or not. He's going. So yeah, it's just interesting that Nolan chose not to speak to Oliver, but he says he doesn't want to speak to him because he doesn't want to mess him up like he messed up Mark. Again, they just sound like words, you know?
Yep.
It's just, to me, the reason why I didn't speak to Oliver is because, well, that'd be a difficult thing to do. I don't want to do difficult things. I want to say the words and I want people to forgive me because that's what I expect to happen, and nobody does.
It's an interesting one to see. Will they is it actions speak louder than words? So will they show Mark and Debbie and Oliver actually at some point, like, not forgive, but maybe allow Nolan back on Earth? Like, how will they treat this? Like, is there, at the end of the Viltrumite War, does Nolan come back? Does he stay in Talescria?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so many questions I have about how they will handle this, because the dialogue in the comic books is not as raw.
Really?
In my view.
Yeah.
It again is like, you also read, like,
it's different, yeah.
I can't deliver a monologue the same way Sandra Hook can, even on my best day in my head.
Absolutely.
So it is that kind of, like, I suppose it's a level of intensity that I haven't brought to this storyline.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm interested to see how they play it.
Yeah.
Because they also condense a lot of storylines. I think there's one, I think it was like New Rockstars or something. We're doing their usual breakdown of this, and they on their socials showed that like 16 panels equated to like 1 minute.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's like, you really are condensing a lot of comic book into a short amount of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how they bring it all together at the end of this apology tour.
Well, I know, and that's the thing about, me not reading the comic books. My feeling here when we have Debbie saying to Mark and Oliver, I want one thing from both of you before we go, and that's to sit down and have dinner. Me, Paul, you, Eve, Oliver. All of us sit down and have one dinner, and they sit down. It's not in silence. We don't hear their dialogue, and we have music over the top of it, and it plays out that they're having a lovely family dinner, and then everybody starts to disappear from the table over the course of the evening. I felt that was playing as that's the last time we're going to see Debbie. That's the last time we're going to see Eve without child. I believe Mark didn't learn that he was going to be a father, because the next time he comes back to Earth, Eve will have a baby. It just all felt like this was a goodbye while they go off to a war that could last quite a long time. It might even last into season 4. It might last a couple of years, and they're going across space, right? So, time's going to be a little different when they get back. So it could be a couple of years before they get back. So that's what it felt like. So whether they allow Nolan back or not, there's going to be, I think, there may be some big changes the next time we're back on Earth again. That's my feeling. Again, I don't know.
No, and like, hopefully, well, it's only 2 weeks to the planet, so I'm hoping it is not years, but let's see. Let's see.
But the fight itself, the actual battle itself with the Viltrumites could last a long time. You never know.
That's true.
You never know with these
things. Is very true.
But there you go. Chris, will we move on to our second point?
Yes, let's do it. Let's talk about the anti-Viltrumite team that is being pulled together. We do get introduced to Zoe Thompson, Tech Jacket. We have seen her once before, in the show. And we kind of get a bit more of an introduction to her. As she battles the Walking Dread.
Yes. Fantastic little gag there.
Choice,
the Walking Dead, yeah.
And we get introduced to her dad, and that it's fun. It's an interesting. She's that kid. She's that Spider-Man youth that they bring to a lot of the comics, but she has that suit, especially like AI-driven suit, but it's an alien suit.
Looking like who? Who does she seem like, Chris?
Guyver.
Did I think Ironheart now?
Oh yeah, but she was around before Ironheart. Yeah. I get where you're going now.
Yeah.
Actually, for me, it is very much, there's an anime and a manga called Guyver about an alien kind of cybernetic suit.
Yeah.
that allows you to battle monsters. But yes, I see where you're coming from with the other suit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Especially because we have the AI voice going through the suit, guiding her as she goes. Played by LeVar Burton from Star Trek, another eventually became a Starfleet captain, as far as I remember. But another Star Trek captain. So very cool, Geordie LaForge.
So I did not get that until I saw it.
All right.
In our notes, and I went, no, that's not right.
There you go. Yep.
And I checked it, and I was like,
Derek's done his homework for once.
well, yes. Well, no, you always do your homework. You're a SWAT.
Absolutely.
No, for me, it's not that they wasted LeVar Burton on the AI for Tech Jacket.
Right.
It's just, I'm hoping he also does something else. Or plays another character. Because I was like, it's LeVar friggin' Burton. Like, this man is a nerd royalty.
He's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely love him.
And deserves a bigger part, is what I was trying to get at.
I think what happens with the team behind Invincible, they just go in contact with people that they've been at conventions with, people that they admire, people that they've seen, and go, right, do you have 10 minutes? Or do you have 2 hours? Or, in the case of the former cast of The Walking Dead, hey, we worked with you for 8 years. Do you want to just come on and do like tons and tons of voices for this show? I noticed Ross Marquand this season is actually credited with not only all of the different voices that he does in the major cast, he's also doing additional voices for the show. So he seems to be working full time on this show, doing every extra voice in the background. And anybody who can't return to do their voice, he does their voice as well. So, So the comedian Ross Marquand has got a massive amount of voice work on the show as well, which is great. But yeah, cool to see another Star Trek alumni over here doing this, especially because there's a couple of other little Star Trek nods in the show. We know Robert Kirkman's a massive Star Trek fan, so it must be great for him to have some of the wonderful cast. After last week having Kate Mulgrew and this week having LeVar Burton, it's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah. No, 100%.
But what do you think of Tech Jacket, Chris? Because again, this is something, and I'm sure you were going to tell me at some point. I'll just drag it out of you. Tech Jacket's different from the comics. We have Zoe Thompson in the comics is Tech Jacket, right?
Yep. Yeah. Don't feel any issue with it. But it works well. Honestly, the youth angle, Tech Jacket was always young. So again, it's that kind of young Peter Parker, Spidey, like Tom Holland age group initially.
Yeah.
So Zoe's, chirpiness, if you want to call it that, does work really well.
Absolutely.
And acts very well against, say, Oliver, who's on the trip.
Yes. And
pairs well then with the sarcasm of Alan the Alien.
Absolutely.
So, I think the choice is a correct choice when you think of it as that.
Absolutely.
When you think of it as it's a chemistry fit.
Yeah.
You don't need a chemistry fit in comic books.
Well, yeah, but also I think, we've said it before that the creator going back to the books and turning it into another medium like a TV show gives them an opportunity to make some changes and tweaks, and having a female character like Zoe here in this cast of male characters makes a lot of sense, right? You need to kind of expand it out as well and have, a nice mixed cast of characters when they're all going into a war, right? I'm sure he was going, why didn't I bring somebody else along? Why didn't I have Eve come along for this battle? Something like that. She has gone up against the Viltrumites herself in previous episodes. Why isn't she here on this trip? So why not? The other character she reminds me of is Penny Parker from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the first one. She really reminds me of that character, and that's the kind of energy that you really want bouncing off all these other characters. Oliver is, the lively young teenager. I get it, but he's really angry at the moment. So it's really good to have somebody else take over that role from him as well. So having Zoe here for that reason makes sense. And she's massively powerful. And I love that it starts out with Alan assuming that it's a guy inside the suit. But it turns out it's not, and her dad is the one that's helping her out, and he's really annoyed about the amount of cursing that she's been doing recently.
I do love the dad. That whole scene whereas like the dad is supportive, and you see Alan go, I know it's only I've just met you, but we're going to do this. And he hugs them because it is very much so. You expect the dad to go, no, daughter of mine's going into the space to blah, blah, blah. Like, you expect it. And it's just a fun piece.
He trusts her. He's going to make her some sandwiches. Yeah.
Yep. But you're right. It plays the happiness and the levity of Tech Jacket and Alan plays well against what we get very quickly, which is Nolan and Oliver. Which is, we get, as part of our montage of time passing, you do get Oliver, like, wholly avoiding Nolan.
Yes.
And both of them having this malaise, grey unhappiness to each other.
Yeah.
And it just kind of building. And to the point where, like, we have Nolan remembering the first time he ever ate protein string pasta with white sauce. And like and that kind of leads back into his apology to our discussion point that we already had. But we know it's different with Oliver because Oliver is happily playing video games with Zoe. But as soon as he's there sitting reading a book by himself and Nolan walks in, within seconds, Oliver's flying out again. Exactly. So it is the juxtaposition of that too over a quiet kind of music, slow paced track of kind of sadness.
Yes, but there's also just that optimism of this team are now together. They're the strongest in the galaxy that have been brought together from Earth, or strongest on Earth, let's say, brought together to go out to Talescria. They're all getting to know each other. They're told there's 2 weeks trip. So, you know, the team building up and the team getting together. And it just doesn't go well. But I love the one really interesting touch seeing back to Earth. We see Cecil and the Global Defense Agency standing down almost. They've been monitoring what's going on with Nolan in the background, as they always do. But just this moment when it's said out loud that this is the first time planet Earth won't have a Viltrumite on it in over 20 years. Huge moment. And I do love to have a little touch to RuPaul's Drag Race where Cecil says, Godspeed, boys, don't F it up. So a nice little RuPaul quote there through the mouth of Cecil. But just really interesting. I love that he vocalizes that hang on a second, I wonder what Earth is going to be like without a Viltrumite. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? There's nobody there to protect them at all of that power set.
First, I love that they've made Cecil a Drag Race fan. So it's amazing.
Oh, good.
In that scene, I found it hilarious because when they all, as you said, they kind of, the exhalation of, we're okay. You see people in the back of their kind of mission control, like celebrating. It was like when the moon landing happened.
Yes, absolutely.
You see two guys in suits kind of get up and hug each other. It's like, it's just celebrating. And I just thought it was hilarious as that is all pulled together.
Yeah. And again, should they be celebrating? You know, is somebody else going to arrive that only a Viltrumite could take care of? And there isn't any Viltrumite there. There's no Mark. There's no Oliver. There's no Nolan to protect Earth from someone. And remember, over the course of the last 3 seasons, the powers have been rising on people that are arriving on Earth. So, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? We don't know.
Who knows? But speaking of bad, should we move into our point 3?
Yes, let's get on there. Ooh, the Viltrumite attack on the ship here. I do like that they keep up the fact that the ship is absolutely terrible. It's only because Tech Jacket's on board and she has noticed that some of her instruments are telling them there's some long range things they should be worried about. So that's when they decide to check their instruments and it's too late. The Viltrumites are already right outside the window. And they have to make a decision effectively. They do a great Star Trek separation of the saucer section from the ship, leaving behind Alan, Mark, Oliver, Tech Jacket, and Nolan as the rest of the crew, who are a bit more squishy, let's say, decide that they're going to leave. The one of the particular reasons I like this is because the first season of Star Trek Starfleet Academy just finished, and this was the thing they decided to do in the final episode of that show. They separated the saucer section from the rest of the Academy. So, I love that this is something that's been ongoing in Star Trek since, I think it was the second movie. They decided that the saucer section could separate from the rest of the ship, and they've been using it ever since to get out of really tough scrapes. So, a nice little joke on Star Trek once again.
Yes. God bless Star Trek.
Right.
It gives us so much. It does lead into what is a drag out, beautiful, extended, gory Viltrumite battle. And it is punctuated with really cool, interesting bits. One of the first ones I'll call out is Tech Jacket. Working with Alan to take on one of the Viltrumites, and the first Viltrumite essentially just grabbing Tech Jacket's helmet and squishing and squeezing.
Yes.
And you have the AI going, you need a few moments.
Yes. Don't let him do that again.
To fix your helmet.
Yeah.
And the one of the comments is, what's one of their weak points? There is none. Just very fun. It sounds terrible. It's a fun action scene. And I think it's fun for me because it's something I've seen in the comic books.
Right.
This is from the comic books.
Yeah.
And again, it's just an extended battle where we talked about it in our last episode. The animation has gotten so good that these fight scenes, it's essentially just a fight in space initially, but it's so well done.
Yes. Yeah. and also, the drama that's added underneath the fact of who it is that's returning here. It's Conquest returning. Conquest was only just beaten at the end of last season. Mark thinking he'd killed him after everything that had happened and all the powers that were thrown at him. And here he is back, looking pretty good. Got himself a new arm. You can still see the crack in his head a little bit, but he's still very violent and still able to crush anybody that comes up against him. And yeah, the first one to almost get it is Oliver. Conquest literally grabs Oliver's head and starts to crush, It's only because Nolan steps in and sends Oliver to the planet to have a breather, that he gets saved, right? Again, it's only by luck and tactics that they can get around any Viltrumite. And here they are faced with 3 different Viltrumites,
And the Viltrumites are tough.
They absolutely are. We've seen Lucan before as well.
Yes.
The bold one. We saw him back, with the Nis, I think it was, a couple of seasons ago. So again, who dies here? How do Viltrumites die, So
this for me kind of brings, as you said, talking about the kind of drama underneath it. The zero in on Conquest. So we have previously discussed how Mark has essentially kind of come round to the idea that he does need to kill sometimes, but doesn't like killing. And then, especially in the last episode, he doesn't want to succumb to that Viltrumite rage that does lead to the wanton destruction, if we call it that. This fight really, really just epitomizes Viltrumite battling and just the lack of care. Because we see Mark and Conquest fall into the planet and fight on the battle. Yeah. And you see them crisscross a large continent or space in a continent, destroying it, like carving a path of destruction around this planet.
At least there's no people on there. There's no species on there that we don't see. That we know of. You're right. Right. What we saw on their battle on Earth, though, was they were destroying everything around them, including the people, including the buildings. There's also a cruelty to Conquest as well here that Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays with. He goes for Oliver first and wants to crush his head because he didn't get to accomplish that when he promised he was going to do that on Earth.
Yeah.
Nolan knocks him out, so he knows Nolan's there. He knows Mark's there. Oliver goes to take a break on the planet, and Conquest goes after Oliver on the planet to kill him. That is what he's there for. It's just that cruelty, and there's that incredible shot. I've seen just a still of it with Oliver just taking a breath on the planet, and right behind him is this looming, really aggressive Conquest just about to bear down on him. He would have been dead instantly because Conquest wasn't holding back if it hadn't been for Mark's arrival there. It's a fantastic shot.
Isn't it like ripped from a panel
Looks
in your
like
mind?
it, absolutely.
In that you had like the first panel would just be Oliver taking the breath. The second panel is Oliver taking the breath and Conquest suddenly there behind. And then the third is Conquest gone. Yeah. But like you have like a blue, a yellow kind of like speed line kind of whooshing past.
Exactly.
But like it was just, you're right. It is just Conquest bathed in shadow behind Oliver is just fantastic. Like that is something that when you go for the animation Oscars, you're like, for your consideration.
Exactly. How about this right here? They'd never give it to it. I know they've started giving Oscars to horror movies this year for the first time, but they're not going to do it to this type of animation for a while yet, unfortunately.
No, not until we are in our late ages.
Yes. But it's so good. And I think from this point onwards, I talked about it last season, the wish fulfillment of the battle between Stephen Yeun and Jeffrey Dean Morgan for Walking Dead fans. But this was even more so. This was for the fans of Walking Dead who hate Negan, and there's lots of people that like Negan in the comic books, but he stuck around for a very long time in the TV show. Not only did he stick around the TV show for 5 seasons, 4 seasons, I think it is.
Gosh.
He went on to a spin-off show with Maggie where he's now gone 2 more seasons of Negan, this jovial, cruel a-hole. And what they do here is something for those fans specifically, I think, of The Walking Dead. They have Stephen Yeun's Mark grab him by the throat, shutting up his stupid voice from speaking because Negan is just known for talking all the time, just like Conquest does. And Conquest never speaks again from that moment onwards when Mark wraps his hands around his throat. Yes, there's a battle that goes on for another 2 or 3 minutes of the episode. It's a huge battle still going on, but we don't hear his voice again as Mark crushes his windpipe. Finally, eventually, but what he does do to him, ripping out his intestines, I was just going, well, okay, I guess Mark can also recover from the kind of damage that's been put on the Viltrumites in the past, because this is, how can he recover from this?
A lot of glue?
I guess so, maybe. Yeah.
Just as he
feeds out the intestines from his body over his hands, you're going, what is he doing? How is this possible?
That's one of the most grotesque, like, it was also the sound direction here, where I'd love to be the audio technician going, okay, we need you to kind of go and get us, like, squelchy, intestine-y sound. And you can see the guy going, okay. Right. And he's just like, pulling out like spaghetti out of something. And like,
I think they're down the butcher shop to get the offal, Chris. I think it's definitely that. Yeah, it's just so squelchy.
I do really love one of the call-outs here where we have Mark saying to Conquest, are you going to confess all your secrets to me again? Because in that last episode where we had seen Conquest and Mark had seen, you had Conquest whispering to Mark his deepest, darkest secrets. So, I don't think they like me. They fear me. And it is then Mark kind of using that to enrage and kind of put off kind of Conquest. But you're right. The final battle between these two goes on for just a fraction too long that it makes it uncomfortable.
It's certainly uncomfortable.
Like that's so they could have stopped it at certain points, but it goes on for like you said, another minute or two as they pull out the intestines, as you see the eyes slowly roll up a proportion. You go back to the intestines. Then it goes back to the bloodshot eyes that finally kind of resolve back into the back of the head.
Yeah.
And I had the captions on.
Right.
And it goes, I didn't even hear it. There's an inaudible help from Mark.
Right. Yeah.
Where you do hear, and then as you see Oliver and Nolan, kind of, as they find Mark,
Mm-hmm.
you do hear Mark then gurgling, help. But it does set up then the next episodes, which is going to be how do you recover? Like you said, like the Viltrumites do have healing. Like we saw that with look where Conquest is now, because he was essentially dead before.
Yeah.
So it is that kind of how long will it take them to recover? Like we said in the last episode, you asked, well, how long are they going to be away from Earth?
Yeah.
Well, if this recovery now takes 9 months for them to get better and then go fight the war, like, well, the baby's already born at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So all these it does add this fresh, new, interesting time piece of question.
Yeah, but it's just, I know Mark gave himself the name Invincible, but I would genuinely be thinking in this episode, maybe as a sign of respect to his brother, Oliver takes on the name Invincible from now on instead of Kid Omni-Man, and he's going to be the new Invincible because how is he going to recover from this? So yeah, let's see how that plays out next episode, because it literally at the arrival of Oliver and Nolan, you know, it just looks like both of them are dead. It looks like both of them have beaten each other to death, basically. On the other side of it, we have Alan and Tech Jacket, who've been fighting against Lucan and Crad, and then make the Star Wars decision, right? This is the Millennium Falcon decision to fly past the ship, and even though they're being tracked by the enemy, they can't see them as they attach themselves to the ship. They have a bit of a discussion afterwards, and I know in my notes I say that they attach themselves to the outside of the ship. It looks like they're on the inside. It looks like they're in some vents inside the ship. But has Tech Jacket created that out of her nanobot armor, and it's the outside of the ship or something? I don't know. But it doesn't seem to have delivered enough space for the very tall Alan. He's asking her to give him some more space. That's why I think it must have been created by the nanobots, because he's asking her to recreate more space. Yeah.
So essentially, they're on the outside. From what I understand, they're on the outside in one of the grooves in that kind of, when you look at the cruiser, it has that kind of a groove running around the one of the tops of it. So they're in one of the grooves, and essentially Tech Jacket's suit has created a dome, and it, like, sealed it to one side, to the side of the hull, and that's where they're sitting in it. And it has the ability to create some video games.
Yes.
Unfortunately, just not create more headroom.
Yes.
But I do like it. And it does, like, it's, I saw this in a movie once. I love how they just can't name the movie.
Yeah.
And if you're a nerd, you get it. If you don't, you're like, oh, okay, this is another reference.
I guess it's Millennium Falcon. I'm sure they mean other movies as well. Have done this. It is very funny. I do love Alan kind of laying out, right, okay, we're attached here, to the ship now. All we need to do is stay hidden until they stop somewhere. Unless the place they're going to is the planet Viltrum, because that would be really, really bad. I really like that little moment between the two of them in the kind of post-credit scene. There is another post-credit scene. Do you want to move on to that, Chris? Talk about that one.
Let's do it. So, the final other end credit scene is where we have Talia, Alan's girlfriend, the now captain of the ship, and she is returning home, and she is talking to Thaddeus, the leader of the coalition of planets, and he talks about that they were in a conflict with the Viltrumites. Now they're at war. They're moving to war, and it does. I suppose your question is, okay, great, we're going into the Viltrumite war. What is that going to mean?
Yeah.
But the fact that 2 episodes ago, we learned that the Scourge virus 2.0 is being kept on the planet as well. And he said, I would only use this if there's a point of no return and I can't if I must. Is this the must? Now that potentially Nolan and the others won't return, maybe they haven't survived, is this where they will use that scourge as part of the war? Or is it just like, is this where you're gonna get their prey for Battle Beast and a few others to come?
Yes, it is really interesting to make the decision to go into battle without the strongest Viltrumites, I guess. Everybody they had been sent to Earth to collect. They do still have the option, as you say. That option could be the new virus, right? So maybe they'll just unleash that, and the war is over, and so are all the Viltrumites, if it works.
And Mark,
and Nolan, and Oliver,
and Oliver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other notes about the episode you want to mention, Chris, at all?
No, not really. I like the nerdy callbacks, the video games callbacks, the Star Trek callbacks. There's definitely a lot of it is just fun. So I do enjoy that they call out these pieces. And in an episode where not much happens, a lot happens, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
it like a good chunk of the episode is taken up by the Viltrumite attack and the battle at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But, that is kind of a lot happens, but not a lot happens. Right. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I would say this is probably my favorite episode of the season. Without doubt, it might even be one of my favorite episodes so far as a fan of the show now, because the character moments that are here with Nolan trying to say the words that he's apologizing and the treatment that he's getting back from Debbie and from Art. I think that's just fantastically written. It's something that you don't often see. It's so well written, but you don't often see these moments where your characters get to have a moment to tell someone, we're never going to forgive you what you did. Thought that was brilliant. The Viltrumite attack is just incredible. I wasn't expecting. I thought, okay, we've got another 10, 15 minutes left in the show. They're going to get their mission when they get back to the coalition of planets. That'll be fine. Nope. Massive battle once again and the return of Conquest. I hope he's dead. I really hope he's dead. And what a way to take him out. It was really, really good. Overall, don't think there's anything else to mention. I just want to mention one tiny little thing, just the conversation with Alan and Mark. Once again, a great little Seth Rogen joke in there where he's saying, he was in this real funk. Funk is an Unapayan word for which means bummed out. And Mark's like, yeah, I know, that's the same word on our planet. And Seth Rogen just plays it so well as Alan going, how is that possible? How could in all the words in all the planets, how could possibly have the same word meaning bummed out? Love it. Really good.
Fun.
Yeah.
No, definitely all good. I think we pretty much covered our final thoughts on this episode. Mm-hmm. So I'll just kind of close out to say, this for me was a standout episode. Yeah. And it really kind of sets up what I think is the final couple of episodes that is that kind of like, okay, you've taken your pause, you've got your breath. Mm-hmm. Now we're going into the fifth gear. Like we're out, we're onto the highway, we're cruising. Let's go towards the end of this season. So really looking forward to where they take us.
Absolutely.
Anything else you'd like to add, or should we move on to see what our fellow Guardians have to say?
That's it. Just a bit of feedback, I think.
Excellent stuff. We got an email in from the one and only Coffee and Vodka who had this to say. Greetings, fellow warring defenders. Never an even break, unless we're talking bones. Perfect from start to finish. Mm-hmm. The feels from this were more felt than anything else watched this year. Wow. The Debbie Nolan exchange is gut-wrenching, as Conquest desperate thumbless hand deep inside Mark. The goodbyes were heartfelt, every conversation honest, save for a minor omission on Eve's pregnancy. And just when you think you're getting a violence-free episode with yet another fun journey aboard the Venture, bam. Mm-hmm. It's Viltrumite vivisection time. Oof. But no punch seemingly as hard to take as the one Nolan received from Art when learning he had lost his hero account. Mm-hmm. With all that going on, however, would have to say my favourite set of moments were the visible absence of Cecil's team and their collective sigh of relief at Nolan's departure. Easily so far the best of all seasons. 5 farewell family feasts, choked out champions, and father and son contusions out of 5. Peace and take care, coffee and vodka. Thanks, coffee and vodka. Yeah, we didn't even mention Eve's omission of her pregnancy before Mark goes. And that's like, in terms of where that leads, like, we kind of touched on it, but just really, like, that omission from her really is glaring.
Like, he gives her another opportunity when they're in bed and saying goodbye. He gives her another opportunity to just, if there was something you were trying to tell me yesterday before everything happened, you can tell me now. And like, no, you're going off to fight a war. Well, I'll tell you when you get back, kind of thing. Big moment.
Yeah, and as Coffee Vodka said, like, it is potentially some of the most feeling of feels for anything we've watched this year.
Absolutely.
Like, it's true. It like that Debbie Nolan exchange is gut wrenching.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Coffee and Vodka.
Yeah, and the other thing we didn't mention was Mark biting Conquest's thumb off and spitting it back in his face as well. He was not giving up in that fight. Really good. Thanks so much for that, Coffee Vodka. We also got some feedback in from Dr. Bob over in Discord, who says the righteous anger of Debbie, the walking dread, showing us quite clearly why everyone needs a safe word, and the amazing delight of Alan, and all in the first third. Impressive battle scenes, which confirm I don't understand Viltrumite anatomy, and while Paul got dinner, he still hasn't got his pancakes. Well,
they basically got rice. Rice and sides, that was it.
And he got a nice bottle of wine, you know, he had a lovely dinner, but he didn't get pancakes. So let's hope that while Mark and Oliver are away fighting in the Viltrumite War out in space, that Paul's getting pancakes every morning for breakfast. That's what we'll hope. It might be off screen, Dr. Bob, but he's getting his pancakes, I'd say. Fantastic. Thank you so much for all your feedback for the episode. We want to hear from you again on this episode. You can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or pop on over to our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/tvpodcastindustries. Or just like Dr. Bob, you can pop on over to our Discord. There's a spoiler post up there for each episode of Invincible as it's released. The details of our Discord are in our show notes right here, or just look for TV Podcast Industries.
Yes, we will be back for episode 6. You Look Horrible, after it airs on episode 8. But just remember, we've lots of content going on available for you. We're currently kind of watching and recording on Daredevil Born Again Season 2 over on Disney Plus. And since we are in April, it is the month where we get the final season of The Boys. It is going to be gut-wrenching. More so than probably how the Invincible was this episode. So, and over on Disney Plus, there is Maul, Shadow Lord, the animated Star Wars series from the guys who brought you Bad Batch. Highly recommend you guys watch that too. So if you like what you hear, make sure you go on over to tvpodcastindustries.com where you can subscribe. Where you can subscribe to all our feeds, all the places, all the links. It is the home of TV Podcast Industries.
Yes, I have to confirm we're definitely not going to be covering Star Wars Mole. We did get the episodes in advance. We were planning to cover it. We've seen the first couple of episodes. They are available on Easter Monday. First 2 episodes are out. Highly recommend checking it out. Definitely go watch it. But we realized if we committed to recording on the first 2 episodes, we would then be committing to record on the other 8 episodes. And we just do not have the time to do that with all the other shows going on. But highly recommend. Wow, it's really good. There's some really cool story beats in there, and the animation is top notch once again. So highly recommend checking that out. And let us know what you thought anyway. We might even put a spoiler post up on Discord for you to discuss it there, and then we can chat about it later on in the year when there's less happening, right?
100%.
Yeah. Well worth watching though.
There is so much content. It's almost like it's spilling out onto us from a hole in the abdomen, much like Mark's intestines all over Conquest. Lovely. And with that, as the same way, Mark collapses and falls to the side and goes, "Help!" or gasps, "Help!" we are going to say goodbye. We will be back with you next week for episode 6. You look horrible. I'm assuming this is about Mark. So until that point,
I hope it's not directed at us, Chris.
Well, hey,
we're doing our best.
They can't see us, so maybe. Until that point, keep watching, keep listening, and keep having a hole in your abdomen. Bye.
Bye.